to tell us a little about Christian perfection and what that meant to John Wesley.
Well, Christian perfection in the Methodist churches, or in the Methodist tradition, has always been a very disputed issue. Wesley affirmed what he called Christian perfection, but one has to see that within Wesley's understanding of the Christian life as an evolving life.
But it's not something that's static.
No. That Christian, there are other contexts which one needs to place around Christian perfection. In other words, Wesley's view that life as a Christian is lived by grace, and that grace forms a framework for the Christian, and that one moves through, as it were, a process of growing closer to God because of grace. That's basically the way I think Wesley understood perfection. It was turned around by some of his followers who basically wanted to argue that when one was a Christian, one was purified and free of sin, and therefore did not make any mistakes, did not make any errors in judgment, or anything like that after one became a Christian. Wesley strongly rejected that. In fact, one of the interesting things during my studies at Oxford, I went over to Richmond College to do some work there at the request of Raymond George, who was on the faculty there. And I was looking at some of the collection that they had of Wesley's writings and so on. And I came across an old hymn book, and it had Charles's hymns in there. And there's a hymn that Charles wrote about Christian perfection. And in there, Charles had written sinless perfection. And Wesley crossed it out and put spotless, which I thought was an interesting change, and then notated in the margin, put his initials there, that this was a change he wanted in the hymn before it went to press to be printed.
Because that actually makes some sense. The other great Charles Wesley hymn of the conversion experience, "Oh for a Thousand Tongues," talks about breaking the power of cancelled sin.
Right.
And I wondered whether that had a tie-up with the idea the sin is cancelled, but you still haven't got there, even though you have. No. It still exerts a power, even though it's cancelled.
It does. You're not free from sin, as it were. You're free from the judgment of sin, in the sense that, the underlying premise that Wesley works with is that, and we can talk about that when we talk about justification, is that grace justifies us. By that he means grace makes available to us God's love and forgiveness. So that is the enduring quality of the Christian life, that we live by grace, and particularly we live by the love of God and God's forgiveness. So that even if we do things which are contrary to the will of God, when we are a Christian, we're not held accountable for them. We are, but we're not. God doesn't judge us or by those kinds of actions. Yeah.